get extremely insane and aggressive about cutting expenses that do not produce profits. So if you have an expense that does not add to your top and or bottom line, then you should get religious about making it go away. So your Facebook advertising, for instance, adds to the top and bottom line. But your electric bill, not so much maybe. So maybe we can turn off a light here or a light there, or, every employee gets, a 12 by 12 office. Maybe that's not quite necessary. Maybe they share, maybe you, the owner, shares. Those are just some things. So if it costs you money, if it does not make you money, then it is a cost that should be looked at.
Okay.
And aggressively slashed.
So, well, here's the question then. So when we first started with the gym we own, one of the first things we slashed was we fired our marketing team because we do marketing, right?
Right.
So how much, though, then should a business owner step in? Because you could slash a lot of prices if you learned how to do things.
Absolutely.
But how much do you do that versus how much do you not do that? When does it become actually...
That's a good question. Because here's the deal. Every business owner, we all start looking for freedom, and we want to work on the stuff we want to work on. Indeed. But then we go out and we start learning skills that's not necessarily what we want to work on in order to be efficient. And so those skills that are not necessarily what we want to work on, that robs us of joy, family time, or whatever, maybe we do continue to outsource that. But if, like in your case, the marketing's in your wheelhouse and that brings you joy, so you got to do that. You can't pay somebody else to do your joy. It's like me paying somebody to eat ice cream for me. There's no freaking way. I'm eating my own gosh dang ice cream.
Is there any flavor that you would give away?
Even when it's bad, it's good.
So I think there's a couple of things, right? So obviously, marketing's not in every person's wheelhouse, right? I do think that business owners should understand their marketing to a certain degree, right, and be involved in it. But I understand that you're not going to have some of the technical skill sets. But what I think what kills me is it's there's so many things out there that are offerings that probably aren't actually doing anything to your bottom line. Right. And so that's where I get super frustrated. Obviously when we came to the gym, there was here's these couple of things. And it's okay, can you show me
the ROI? Basically.
Can you show me the ROI? Can you show me how many customers you're bringing me? And it was all this, it was this flashy presentation of what they can do and how many eyeballs it's kind of the presentations probably remind me of what a billboard ad people would tell you. And they would tell you, well, it gets this much traffic coming. There's this many people that drive by this billboard. Well, who cares?
That's right.
There's so much technology now that it's why do we care that I'm a billboard? I understand you want brand awareness and recognition, but it's not trackable. And so unless you're just okay with just throwing up a picture, and I've seen some woefully awful billboards to say the least.
I've seen some really genius ones too.
I've seen good ones, right? But it's still they're clever, but they're not trackable, right? There's nothing. I mean, unless you have a QR code on it, and then you're a driving hazard. But I mean, I don't know. That's where my brain goes. Is if I don't have this trackability and I don't understand as a business owner what numbers I need to understand, then you're just going to give money away.
So I hear you guys saying that you may not need to do the thing, but you need to understand the thing. For example, you may not want to do your marketing, but if you don't understand enough to ask the right questions, you could be getting taken advantage of. Is that
sure.
accurate?
100%. You need to know what you're paying for. And I think we were talking this weekend, and I was talking about Johnny Wanamaker, the guy that used to have the department store Wanamakers, and he used to have that saying, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. I just don't know which half it is. Well, that's fine. Because Johnny Wanamaker, did his big move in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So sure, that's acceptable. Now there's no excuse for not knowing which half or what every dollar is how it's accounted for. And I think historically, people who sell advertising sell it based on implied results. But it's 2024. We can actually look at applied results, and that return on advertising dollars spent, you got to know that. And so even as a purchaser, I can insist that the seller gives me that info. If they cannot, then they're the wrong provider of marketing. And so that's
and I would call them, like, honestly, I think there's this in the marketplace, from my experience in talking to some of those folks, they present themselves as marketing agencies, and the reality is they're advertisers. They're
Yes.
advertising agencies, right?
That's it.
All they're doing is running your advertising for you.
Yep.
Right? And they're not necessarily doing anything to provide you. They're not saying they're going to get you results. They're just like the broker in between, right?
Yep.
Because truth be told, Facebook ads are a pain in the butt, right? Like
Yep.
it's a convoluted system, right? That's constantly updating. And so, like, yeah, I want somebody to run my Facebook ads, but I want to know that it's effective and
Right.
and all those things. But I have to be the one that understands how that's affecting, and here's my money in, here's the people that came from it.
Right.
Of thing.
Okay, time out. As a business owner, there's so many things to do. How in the world do I get to do that too? Like, I'm drowning in every day-to-day tasks. Like, how am I supposed to go learn how to figure this out? I mean, I really feel like people take advantage of small business owners because they're like, hey, I can do marketing, and we believe them because we're too busy to know otherwise. So, like, what do you say to me, small business owner, who's like, sounds great, Zach, sounds great, Mark, but I don't have time. I don't have time to figure that out. What do you do? Yes, I put you on the spot. Dun, dun, dun.
So, I mean, from my perspective, like, there's tons of free resources out there, right? But I would be, like Mark said earlier, demanding of the people that,
So you make them do the work.
to a degree, right? Like, they should be able to present me with those numbers. Like, it's a very trackable thing. And so, yeah, and there's false positives and false negatives and all that kind of stuff, but it should be directionally correct, right? So, like, you should be able to tangibly give me something, right? And I, as the business owner, should be able to tangibly feel and see an increase in people coming into my door, right? Of some, like, I need more product sales, more something, right?
So you said see or feel? Or do you say see?
I might have said feel, but
What do
I
you
meant
think of
see.
that? Do you think you can sometimes, as a business owner, just feel the change that somebody makes, even if it's not a direct one-to-one correlation?
Oh, you can. I think you can see it and feel it. And to your point, to Zach's point, the job of the business owner, regardless of whether they do the marketing themselves or they outsource it, the job of the business owner is to know who they are. So, if I say, who's the greatest boxer of all times, what would any of you tell me?
That's your realm, Zach.
Just guess. There's no wrong answer.
It's kind of a toss-up between Muhammad Ali and Tyson.
Okay.
Those are the only
my
two boxing
book.
names I know.
And I'm not a big boxing guy.
You perfectly summed it up. And Mike Tyson will tell you that he thinks Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer of all time. So Muhammad Ali, if he were a business owner, and he really was a business, if not an industry, he was clear on his messaging. His messaging was very simple. He knew exactly who he was. I am the greatest. So I have an old T-shirt with Muhammad Ali on it, and it gets me more comments and compliments from people than any shirt that I ever wear. Man, I love your shirt. It doesn't matter. It can be old ladies, old men, young people. Everybody loves my Muhammad Ali shirt. So he was clear on his messaging. So he made the work of the marketing agency easy. So if you know what your story is, it makes it so easy for somebody to tell. And then counting results, that's just some simple math. That's work for the bean counters.
So do you think too many owners try to outsource their message?
They do. Here's what happens. You're starting this business and you're just getting going, and you say, I'm going to go out on, pick a platform, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to start talking about what I do. And all of a sudden your inbox starts filling up saying, hey, I can help you get more followers so you can talk about what you do. And it's really just marketing, advertising agents, to use your language, showing up saying, hey, I see you yelling with your megaphone. I have my own megaphone. I will yell for you. But if the messaging is not defined yet, paying somebody to do that messaging is premature. and not wise. And you're just better off going, hey, not right now. Even if not right now ends up being your answer for far too long, it's still better than hiring somebody to yell a message that you're not ready to deliver to the marketplace. My opinion, put an asterisk beside it.
No, that's good. I think, I do think that it's important to really, and it's a lot of work though. I think that's I think where the struggle comes in, right? Like I remember starting in the marketing world and then people being like, you have to pick your avatar. You have to know what your message is. And it's like, and that was like the largest mountain.
The answer to everything.
Well, it was the answers to everything, but it was like the biggest mountain that I couldn't imagine getting over, right? You know, because like I worked in manufacturing, and it's just like I make things get out the door,
right?
Not like it's like how do I come into this world and like what's my message to people? How do I translate, and like how does that translate over? And honestly, I think a lot of the answers come through the work. Right? Like
it's about doing the thing.
It's about doing the thing.
Yeah, it is.
And yeah, don't hand it off early. Like if you hand it off prematurely, then you're letting someone else put their thing in there that's not necessarily correct. Right. And if they're not good at like, because no offense, but a lot of agencies have this. Here's the box.
We run a marketing agency too.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
right.
can say
like,
this, right?
I can say this confidently because I've come behind these types of agencies. And I hear the frustration in people's voice, and the general consensus is like, hey, we run things in this box, and I don't really care. Like, I'm gonna figure out how to get you to fit into this box. And it's like, well, yeah, but I'm a triangle, and I'm not a square. And like, what are you talking about? I don't fit. Like, I kind of fit, but not really.
Exactly.
And it doesn't fill out the space the way it should. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the method, I think that there's a huge, you how do I say it? You yourself become susceptible to getting shoved into a box that you were never meant to be in. Right?
100%.
And then your messaging gets either watered down or it's just incorrect.
It's incorrect because here's the reality. Like, okay, so I do a lot of copywriting for people,
right?
If they don't know their message when I'm trying to write, right? I'm going to guess. But here's the thing. I don't necessarily, like, so Muhammad Ali, you said, he thought he was the greatest. He was. But, like, he thought he was the greatest, and that was his message. But somebody else who's, like, if somebody else was doing their messaging for him, they might have thought somebody else was the greatest at the time, or something else was the greatest. Right? And
or so that he had some other strength that he should be accentuating.
And so they're going to see the world through their eyes, right?
Right.
So if you're the business owner, then you have to show everybody around you how to see this business in this world. Right?
Absolutely.
And
non-negotiable.
So, to your point, the one thing you can't afford to give away or a cost you can't afford to cut is you.
That's right.
Your perspective on things. Yeah. That's what's building the business.
That's right. That's 100%.
Well, and here's the other thing. I think if you let someone else like pick your market, like pick your message and pick how you voice that, I think inevitably what happens is you become a commodity, right? Because that other, like that agency or whoever is helping you, they have to reference other things, right? And they don't have your experience and your passion for the thing, right? So if they're not drawing it out of you appropriately and you're not sure of it, then you're going to become commoditized because they're going to have to compare you to other people Absolutely. That are similar in that space. It happened at the gym, right? That was the first thing we did was we came in and changed the messaging because
a marketing agency had come in and made them Planet Fitness.
No, they didn't make Planet. They made them the Y.
The Y. I'm
right?
sorry.
It was like the Y. Like we were
community.
Basically marketing to people that were going to the YMCA, and it's like
except the YMCA was $40 a month, and we were $340 a month. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Like it's not. And it's a completely different environment. It's a completely different space. So you're bringing in these people that don't fit, and we show up, and I'm like, well, this isn't the place. Like this isn't the gym that I remember, right? Because we used to go there, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, you lose
that
the essence of what
you do,
right? And it waters that down, and it becomes this. It becomes a commodity, and we know what happens there. It's a race to the bottom. And that's
so you've owned a lot of businesses.
Right.
Would you say that the number one role of the owner is the messaging?
The number one job of the owner is to know who they are. That is the main thing, and because it's so easy to get off course when you don't know who they are. You know, like Captain Kirk knew their job was to go explore new places and not mess with anything. And whenever somebody tried to break those two simple principles, he'd have to say, I'm Captain Kirk. We don't intervene here. We are what we are. Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. That's who he was. And so when people try to turn him into a slugger or, they call him a big bruiser, he says, man, I'm not a bruiser. I'm pretty. I'm the greatest. He never, ever let somebody else tell him who he was. And I think business owners, they sign up with a marketing agency and the marketing agency goes, this is who you are now. And then they chase this thing that's not them. And it is just insane. And what they're really chasing is they're chasing a number that the marketing agency told them they could get.
A carrot.
Yeah, and it's a top line number on top of that, and they make that number the goal. These be thy gods, O Israel, and they chase that number. They change themselves. They do whatever they have to, and at the end of the day, they come back and they realize, they wake up, and then they got to part ways with their marketing agency. Mm-hmm. Nobody's at fault except for the business owner who did not define for themselves who they are and make everybody else come up to that level. When you do that, the work is easy.
So then, therefore, you would, to go back to the original question of cutting costs, you have to know who you are to know what costs to cut.
That's right. Because the costs that do not support you in being who you are, they got to go. They got to go. It's like you walk out into the lobby and you see a stack of magazines and you see Better Homes and Gardens. Well, I'm a business broker. Why do I have Better Homes and Gardens in my lobby? Why am I paying for that? Well, it's only $14 a year, and I happen to be at my desk when the sales guy called. Mm-hmm. Nope, it's not who I am.
So that's fascinating. So I'm going to pull into the manufacturing world for a minute. And I'm going to hopefully, and
his favorite thing to do.
Not necessarily.
Mark, back me on that one.
But so I went through a lean manufacturing course, right?
Right.
So when you're doing you basically do a waste elimination thing, right? And the whole point is to go get rid of waste, time waste, physical waste, like in the process. And so when you map out a process, you map out the whole thing, what's currently happening, and then you go through and you define each piece of what's happening. And there's value added, and required, right? So like if you're making widgets, you have to put it into the press, right? So this is a required step in the thing that creates money, right? Because you're physically changing the thing to a way that the customer wants it. So then there's non-value added but required.
Right.
What are those? So now I have to take this widget and I have to transport it and wrap it up for shipping. Right. That does not add value to the product itself. The customer does not care about paying for that.
No.
And then there's...
But it's required.
Right? And then there's non-value added, not required, right? And those are the things you're really actually looking for.
Slice them, baby. Slice and dice.
But those are the things that sometimes we spend so much money on.
Oh, of course. But they're typically they're hidden in amongst the other things. And sometimes they look like they're required. But you have to go through that. You have to actually look at the whole thing. Be like, well, why are we doing and you typically need somebody with an outside perspective.
You have to kill the sacred cows.
You do have to kill sacred cows, right? But you need somebody else to come in and be like, well, why do you do that? Be like, I don't know, because we always did it like this, and then
it's the monkey story.
Oh, yeah. The monkey story.
Yes, I have. I love the monkey story.
You're a good storyteller. You tell the story.
Well, I may not do it justice, but they did a study, and they took a monkey and they lowered him in a pit, and then they came and they held a banana above the pit, and when the monkey tried to reach for the banana, they came and they water hosed his face really bad, and the monkey scurried away, and every time he tried to grab the banana, they water hosed him in the face. Well, then they brought another monkey and they dropped him in the pit, and the second monkey came and tried to reach for the banana as they lowered the banana over the pit, and the second monkey went to grab the banana, and the first monkey pulled him away. He's like, no, you're gonna get water hosed in the face. He said that in monkey talk, I'm sure. And so,
can you repeat the monkey talk?
He said, no, they're going to water hose you in the face, as told by nearby monkeys. So they kept adding monkeys,
Planet of the Apes style.
and they kept on doing the same offer and hosing the monkey in the face. And then they started removing monkeys. And eventually, they started applying the banana above the pit, and the monkeys would come and pull away the new monkeys and say, don't reach for that because bad things will happen. Well, they kept on removing monkeys. Well, eventually, all of the monkeys in the pit were new monkeys who had never been hosed in the face by water.
Yep.
But they would still grab each other and pull each other back and say, no way, don't you dare reach for that banana because something bad's supposed to happen. None of them had ever even witnessed it. And or experienced it. And so it's just crazy. Human beings are not any different.
No.
Oh, I know.
Why do you do that? Because that's what we do.
And here's the funny thing, the marketing agencies are doing it.
Oh, for sure.
The marketing agencies are getting trained and armed, and they're going out and they're saying, hey, do this, this, and this. Why? Because this is what we were taught.
This is what you do.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, for sure. And this is what other agencies are doing.
Yes.
Right? And this is what other people are chasing.
Well, yeah, and back to your point earlier, like, you put an ad into a magazine that goes out into local places. Well, why? Because that's what you do.
Right.
Like, but am I getting people? I don't. It doesn't matter. This is what you do. And so.
But the magazine reaches this many people.
Right. But does that matter?